So price doesn't always equal quality when it comes to clothing. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about the top 3 things I look for when buying high quality garments. Let's get started. I have a friend that jokes that if there's one expensive item in the 99-cent store, I will go straight to that expensive item and bypass everything else. I don't know what it is. I just have this uncanny ability to go straight towards the most high quality and sometimes most expensive item. As I said in the introduction, price and quality aren't always equal. Even though I do buy fast fashion, I always want to buy things that look high quality, quote unquote expensive. So the first thing I look for when I'm buying high quality garments is fabric. In an ideal world, we all are going to buy things that are 100% natural fabric, meaning 100% cotton, 100% wool, cashmere, silk, linen, leather, what have you. That is the ideal. Unfortunately, that oftentimes comes with a very high price. A lot of brands, in order to lower costs, tend to make blends. If you are buying a blend, I recommend you go with the 80-20 rule. So you want something that's 80% natural fabrics and maybe 20% something else. Beware of the evil tri-blend. During the pandemic, I bought a lot of sweatsuits. I bought a couple of sweatsuits that ended up being tri-blends. Looking at a sweatsuit that I bought that's made out of 57% polyester, 25% cotton, and 80% viscose. The first time I washed them, the pilling began. I have a pile of clothes that I'm discarding because they don't look good anymore. The majority of the items that I have that have a really bad pilling are similar to this, a tri-blend with like polyester, cotton, and viscose. It's been an unholy trinity for me. No more 57% polyester sweatsuits for me, regardless of how comfortable they are. I feel like everybody has an opinion about clothing and sustainability. One of the reasons I like natural fabrics is they can either be recycled or reused. Of course, recycled cotton is not going to be as good as fresh cotton. Polyester is a plastic, essentially an oil. Those items tend to end up in landfills. The majority of polyester that's made out of recycled plastic tends to come from water bottles. The polyester that's coming from oil tends to not be easily recyclable and ends up in landfills. I'm not 100% against artificial fabrics. So artificial fabrics have a place, especially when it comes to workout wear. I work out almost every day, and the items that I wear are made out of technical fabrics, which tend to be made out of some polyester blend. Using artificial fibers and technical fabrics makes sense because you often want things that are like sweat wicking or water repellent. Those attributes are just not inherent in natural fabrics. So in order to get those things for your workout clothes, you need to use something artificial. Make sure that the fabric of the item makes sense for what you're buying. For example, if you're buying sweaters for the winter, it needs to be in wool or cashmere. If you're looking for items to keep you cool in the summer, you're definitely gonna be buying things like cotton, silk, and linen. So the price should reflect what the fabric is made out of. It makes sense for a high quality merino wool sweater to be $100 to $200 or more dollars. That's what you're paying for. If you're buying a sweater that's only 20% wool and 80% something else, it should not be $200. So this shirt I bought from Zara, it's made out of polyester and the price reflects it. I would love to find this shirt in a beautiful silk. This shirt probably cost me $50 at Zara. Let's say a brand at Neiman Marcus was carrying this exact same shirt. It would more than likely be 100% silk and it would be over $200. I bought this shirt for the color and for the silkiness. Also, when we're talking about fabric, substantial fabrics like denim, wool, cashmere, you want them to have a little bit of weight to them. Unless an item is meant to be sheer, it should not be see-through. If you can see through an item, it more than likely is not a very high quality garment and you probably want to leave it in the store. All fabric essentially has a direction. For example, I'm looking at this denim coat. I can see the fabric goes up and down. In a high quality garment, regardless of what part of the garment you're looking at, the direction of the fabric is always the same. Now, brands have gotten better about this, but occasionally you will see the fabric going the wrong direction in low quality clothing. If you see it, run. I love denim that's 100% cotton. I understand that not all women love 100% cotton denim. 100% cotton jeans force you to size up. I know a lot of women who refuse to buy any article of clothing that's a larger size than the size they have in their head. I understand why we love them because I have a butt and thighs, so I'm in jeans, I'm either a 6 or an 8. When it comes to jeans with spandex, I can buy a 6. In my opinion, I think jeans that are 98% cotton and 2% elastane is a good compromise. Once you get into jeans that are 5 to 10% spandex, they get really, really gummy. They tend to bag out. And now you're stuck having to pull up your jeans all the time. So I always recommend jeans that are 98% cotton or more. If you want high quality clothing items, you should strive for items that are 80% natural fabrics or more. So the next thing I think you should look for is the finishing. So the finishing of the garment is what it looks like on the inside, and oftentimes that's where fast fashion retailers tend to cheap out. So the number one thing that I look for when it comes to finishing is the stitching. See an item with bad stitching on the outside, just put it back because the moment you wash that item, that stitching is going to come off. The most critical place for stitching is around the neck and the collar. When it comes to finishing, you want an item that looks as good on the inside as it is on the outside. So I have this shirt from Zara. The stitching is okay. It's not perfect. The dreaded loose Zara thread. Loose threads is my pet peeve with Zara and H&M items. I always have a scissors on hand because there is always a loose stitch that I have to cut. For a lot of these juncture points, you want them to be double stitched. The reason being, if one of the stitches comes out, you have a backup. For things that are single stitched, if that stitch comes out, you automatically have a hole in either your lining or your seam, and that's not a good thing. Another thing about stitching is you want a hem that's substantial. This has a very, very thin hem. I almost want everything about 1 inch, because what's going to happen is the hem of the garment is going to come off. If I compare it to the hem of this coat, you can definitely see that this hem inside of this coat is more substantial. Let's say I wanted to take this coat out a little bit. I have room to grow. So make sure that you have enough hem, and make sure that the stitching on the hem is flat and neat. Make sure that items that need a lining have a lining. The lining is what's going to protect a high quality garment from your body. It's better to get sweat on your lining than it is the jacket. Linings are easy to replace. In addition to having jackets and blazers with lining, high quality dress skirts and dresses should also have a lining. You want your lining to be roomy and well attached. You don't want a lining that's super tight. So this has happened to me once with a garment. So the skirt was my right size, but the lining felt like it was almost like half a size too small. So I ended up feeling that like the skirt was super tight. If your lining is too tight, you may rip your lining, and that's not a good thing. So often for linings of coats, you'll notice that the lining of the body is different than the lining of the sleeves. You're going to want to make sure that the lining of your sleeves is super slippery, because if you're wearing a sweater and you put your coat on and it's not slippery, you're going to have a very hard time getting your arms through the sleeves. Slippery sleeve linings are a non-negotiable. So if you think about jeans, you can get jeans for like less than $50 at an Old Navy or Zara, but there are a lot of brands that are $200 or more. So how do you tell the difference? The first thing that you can tell is the fabric, which I've talked about in the first section. But the next way to tell if a jean is high quality is the inside finishing. So I have a pair of low quality fast fashion jeans. So these jeans are very, very cheap. They're made out of rayon, cotton, polyester, spandex. It's super gummy. These are flare jeggings. These jeans have no hems. If these jeans were too long or too short, there's nothing I can do. So the way these jeans are finished is they just took two pieces of fabric together, sewed them tightly, and that's it. It's neat, it's clean, no muss, no fuss. So with high quality jeans, there tends to be extra finishing. It's very neat and it lays flat. Of course, these jeans have a hem. And also for men's suits, you also want the seams to line up. So if there's like a stripe or a pattern, you want that to be continuous. Now, often with cheaper brands, they will put a patterned pocket on something and it won't line up. But if you're paying $400 for a shirt and there's a pocket on there, it's not lined up, it's not a high quality garment. I find that's not as important with women's clothes, but with men's clothes, it is very, very important. The finishing of the garment, I think, is something that I've only started looking at. For the longest time, of course, I've always cared about all the other things, but on the inside of the garment, I didn't care as much. And what I was finding was that my items were falling apart. So now I really, really focus on making sure that items are well finished. And that has been helping me buy items that are much more high quality. So the next thing I look for when I'm buying a high quality garment is the hardware. Hardware to me means zippers, hooks, latches, buttons, sequins, almost anything that's added on top of the garment. So I remember growing up, everything had a very, very high quality metal YKK zipper. That is not the case anymore. If you're either buying something in a store or trying to decide if you want to keep something and it has a zipper, make sure you try zipping it multiple times. Make sure it's not hard to zip up. When it comes to a lot of fast fashion brands and zippers, I just stay away unless it's jeans. I had an incident where I had this really, really cute top from Zara that zipped on the side. I remember I went out for a friend's birthday party. I was feeling really cute, and then the zipper just broke. Luckily, I was wearing a jacket and I was able to cover it up. If you're buying denim, it should always have a metal zipper, in my opinion. Make sure the teeth are evenly spaced. There's not teeth missing. When it comes to women's dresses, I really think you should be looking for hidden zippers. You just want it to look like there's a seam there, but you don't want to give away that there's a zipper there. Having exposed zippers tends to cut down on the longevity of the item. Because I feel like, as you're washing it, things get stuck in the zipper. It's a very, very minute detail, and I've been noticing a lot more fast fashion brands are actually hiding the zippers, but occasionally you will find an item that still has zippers that are exposed. Trying to decide if you're going to keep something, make sure you try it on. Zip it multiple times. I love clothes that zip in the back, but the problem with that is I live alone and I'm often struggling to zip it. It's already very hard to zip up your own dress, but imagine having something that's a very hard zipper and then you have to zip it up on your own. You don't want those struggles. Next up are buttons. So you definitely want buttons that are substantial. As you notice, with this jacket, these buttons are metal and they're just very, very firmly attached. Although I love Zara, I'm not a fan of their buttons. I have one dress that I love. I wore it one time and all the buttons popped off on the bottom of the dress. I was super, super annoyed. Check your buttons. Make sure that there's plenty of fabric in the button. Make sure that the button is tied in the back. If it's something that needs to be buttoned, make sure that you button and unbutton everything. My rule of thumb is if something is hard to button or unbutton, then that is more than likely very firmly attached. Things that are a breeze to button are not strongly attached, and that could be a problem in the future. So in this situation, you see this extra room. So that extra space, that allows room for when you button the item, that extra piece of material can fit under the button in a way that's comfortable and secure, and it's not gonna pop off. The one good thing I'm noticing is most brands, whether it be fast fashion or high end, are at least giving you one extra button. They're usually by the tag. So another piece of hardware for women is sequins. In my what I learned after 1 year on YouTube video, I wore a vintage sequin dress. So I love this sequin dress, but I've been looking for a replacement for it. That dress is 10 years old. So when it comes to sequins, make sure that they're firmly attached. I'm noticing a lot of the newer sequins, they're very, very loosely attached. You know, before they were using a very substantial string to attach the sequins. Now it's almost like, I can't even call it fishing wire, but whatever they're using is awful. During the holidays, I was at Zara, H&M, and a couple other fast fashion places actively looking for a new sequin dress. So when I was at Zara, there was a part of the floor right around all of the sequin dresses that was covered in sequins. And then when I actually looked at a lot of the items, a lot of the sequin dresses and tops had already lost a substantial number of sequins even before it being bought. I was not gonna pay $50 to $100 for a sequin dress that already has bald spots before I've even taken it out of the store. Absolutely not. Hardware like zippers, buttons, sequins, hooks, we don't often think about them until they don't work. The fabric of the clothing is really important, but the hardware is what keeps the clothing on you. I can't stress how important it is to make sure that the hardware is high quality, well functioning. In case of zippers and button flies are hidden in a way to maximize the appearance of the garment. That's what I look for high quality hardware. So those were the top 3 things that I look for when buying high quality garments. Let me know in the comments if there are any tips that you use in order to make sure the things you buy are high quality. If you're interested in how I take all these high quality items and organize them in my closet, I'm gonna link my closet organization video here. All right, see you next time. Bye.